morning. So today I am going to be talking about um, my journey, which is part of the whole hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's thing, with inflammation, diet, and weight. And this is going to include my experiences with food allergies and sensitivities. In about 2013, I was diagnosed with with hypothyroidism in November of 2004. For the next 9 years, I had no insurance after I lost it in February of 2005. So I was having to try and deal with the hypothyroidism on my own, dealing with um, going by symptoms, temperature, weight loss, weight gain, brain fog, hair loss, which we're not going to go into that. Anyway, um, and about, and I wasn't having a lot of luck. I mean, as far as the weight was up and down, I had, I looked like a teenager in the throes of an acne war. I was just all broke out here. I mean, it was awful. And then in about 2013, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe 11 or 12, on my right pinky, one night I just had these little tiny blisters. Woke up scratching them. Oh, that itched. And in the next couple days, it got flaky and crusty and peeled. And eventually it swelled to the pinky, and then it went to the next finger, and then to the next finger. And it was it would kind of clear up here and move to this one, clear up here, move to this one. But it was flaky, rough. Um, it would crack so bad it would bleed. And I tried everything. I mean, I'm thinking, okay, so am I touching something? What am I doing? And then I got a patch, a scaly patch on my upper lip, and then I got one on my eyelid. And at that time I was running a business, a web content provider business. So research was something I did all the time. So one day I just typed in a small flaky patch on eyelid, and it took me to a chat room, and there was a other people were asking the same thing, and this doctor responded, "It's eczema. Use Desinite ointment." Well, my neighbor, who had been taking care of her uncle until he passed, had given me um, a full tube of Desinite ointment plus a partial tube after he died. And so I'm going, thank you, Jesus. I got it. So I began using that, and it began clearing up. I'm going, yay, this is wonderful. And but it still wasn't doing real well. It would kind of clear up and then it'd get bad again. And so, but that the patch on the eyelid and the patch on the lip, that went away. So I started doing some more research into what triggers eczema flares. And immediately just came upon tomatoes. Well, I had a garden. I was growing tomatoes. I was eating tomatoes. I was going out to Taco Bell a couple times a week with getting tomatoes. So I stopped the tomatoes, and it started clearing up. I mean, it got clear. I still had the acne on my face. And so it started clearing up. This is great. Then it got bad again. And I'm going, okay, now what? What had I changed? Well, it was strawberry season. I was eating strawberries. So I cut out the strawberries. Started clearing up. Then it got bad again. Okay, what did I do? What was I eating? Citrus, I had those coupons. I was getting coupons at the time, and they had the little cuties coupons for those little tiny. Those are so good. So I cut those out, started clearing up. Eventually, and this has all been trial and error, doing the elimination diet, what's going on. Eventually it came out that iced tea, anything with that was acidic, so pickles, um, you name it. And I thought, okay, so I'll just stud out. Well, it turns out it's more than that. And it changes. Just about the time I can figure out, okay, it starts clearing up, something else will trigger it off. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but it's all flaky. No, it's too. Anyway, um, eventually, maybe in 20, 2016, 2017, um, I began doing an elimination diet. I was also diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So I began researching Hashimoto's. And I came across a Dr. Martin Rutherford on YouTube. And I'll have a link below. And he was talking about Hashimoto's and food allergies, and that it is extremely common for those with Hashimoto's to develop food allergies and food sensitivities. So common that he said he'd have patients come in. Sometimes they had 6 foods they could eat, and that was it. And he suggested, gradually trying to add the foods back one at a time and see. Well, it's not like what I have found for me is that it changes all the time. For instance, for a long time, I could eat avocados with no problem. Of course, I do tend to binge. So, avocados would be on sale, I'll buy them, and I might eat avocados every day for a week. Well, I can't do that. That's when I discovered that I'll break out. The eczema will flare, and it's like, okay, great. And around 2016, 2017, in there, I also discovered I had gotten to the point where when I'd go to stand up from a sitting position, in the pelvic groin area, the where the joints are, it hurt. It was all I could do. It would take a minute to stand up and just kind of straighten up. And I just thought it was part of getting old. And I used to have my little farm, my little mini ranch, and I had chickens and goats and stuff. So I had plenty of eggs. Well, after I lost my little mini ranch, um, I moved into an RV and moved into a camp RV park. And so I didn't have chickens anymore, and money was tight. But a lady at church, she raised chickens, and so we developed this. I'd save her a seat on the front, and she would bring me eggs. Well, then I ran out because they missed church a couple times, and so I ran out of eggs. And so I couldn't afford to buy any. So all of a sudden, I noticed I could stand up and walk, not a problem. And then the next Sunday, she brought me some eggs. I got those. I ate 2 eggs. The next day, I could hardly. I was back to being half crippled up. And I'm going, oh, it's the eggs. Well, trial and error again. I could eat a couple of eggs as long as I didn't eat wheat or gluten, anything with gluten or wheat in it. So I could no more sausage egg McMuffins, no more eggs and toast, no more eggs and pancakes. Of course, I was really trying to do low carb. So I didn't eat a lot of breads and pastas and stuff like that. But when it came to eggs, I could have eggs and bacon as long as I did not have the hash browns or hash browns. I could get away with a little because that would be a treat when I would go out to eat eventually. But no, no bread, no biscuits, no nothing like that. So, um, at the same time, of course, my weight is going up, mostly up. Occasionally, I'd go through short periods where I would lose weight. And it would either be due to an adjustment, I thought at the time, an adjustment in um, my thyroid medication, or changing to drinking, eliminating sodas, not drinking any sodas anymore. Um, it, it's like this huge maze or puzzle. You think you got one piece, then you discover you've got 10 missing pieces still. Um, so then eventually I learned about low dose naltrexone. Now, naltrexone is a drug that's given to um, combat opioid addiction or alcoholism. And it comes in 50 milligram tablets. But in low doses, say zero point 0.5 milligrams, 1 milligram, one up to 4.5, sometimes even up to 9 milligrams, is given, and it helps with the inflammation of associated with autoimmune diseases. So you get people with fibromyalgia, lupus, um, rheumatoid arthritis, as well as Hashimoto's that take it, and it helps with the inflammation because inflammation holds onto the weight. So I began taking that, and I noticed some weight loss associated with it. I also take um, furosemide because I have congestive heart failure, and so and then my feet will swell. So I take that to help alleviate that. So and then I might they change my pills, and I hate pills, and I'll go off them or whatever, or the pills will cause weight gain. And for instance, lisinopril and carvedilol. Those that's like when you get congestive heart failure, they're going to get prescribed lisinopril, spironolactone, carvedilol, and lisinopril, furosemide. Those four. Well, I discovered that one of them, you're not supposed to carvedilol. You're not supposed to take it. You're not supposed to take when you take a diuretic. So, and this was several years ago. And so I went off it. I said, okay, I'm not good. Because at the same time, I discovered lisinopril, well, and then carvedilol also causes weight gain. And then lisinopril blocks the uptake of thyroid medication. And I had been on those two. My thyroid medication was spot on to where the point where always before when I got it to that point, the weight should have been coming off. And I was doing low carb and I was gaining weight. And I could not figure out why. So that's when I began to research, discovered about lisinopril. And also, did you know, for those who take it, lisinopril is made from Gila monster venom? No, no, that's Ozempic. Lisinopril is made from snake venom. So I quit both of those, and immediately I began losing weight. So, um, most recently, like this last Tuesday, I had to go see a new cardiologist because my ejection fraction rate had dropped from 40 to 45 down to 30, 35, which put me in the range where I would need a defibrillator implant. And I don't want that. I also have AFib pretty bad, real bad. And so all of these things I've been taking, the low dose naltrexone. I also take, uh, I inositol for some of the benefits it does. Some chaga mushrooms and other mushroom blend. But, and I'm kind of all over, sorry. In the last 2 years, between 2 and 3 years, I'd lost almost 70 pounds. I was feeling pretty good. I had energy. And I was keeping it down. I would bounce, do 1 or 2 pound bounce, and then I would go down and I'd do 1 or 2 pound bounce for a month or so, and then I'd go down another pound. And that was pretty steady all the way down to the 70 pounds. I got down to from 269, I got down to 187. So it was more than 70 pounds. And then it started going up. And I could not figure it out. I had never in the past that I knew had problems with dairy fat, so butter, cream. I didn't do milk because of the lactose, as far as the calories and the sugar, because lactose is the sugar, milk sugar. So I didn't do that because of the keto. But on keto I could have milk, or I could have cream, and I could have butter, I could have cream cheese, I could have hard cheeses. I had noticed that a couple of times I had made some like keto balls or whatever, and it had cream cheese and peanut butter in it. And I would get a little bit of an anaphylaxis when I ate too many, or I because I could feel my throat closing up, so I'd stop eating. So I had stayed away from cream cheese, but I didn't have any problem with butter or cream. About 2 months ago, when it was starting to get cooler, and I had weaned myself off coffee, making coffee every day, and well, I was making myself coffee, then I went back. I kind of go back and forth. I found this wonderful blueberry coffee at Walmart. Oh, so good. Smelled wonderful. So I began making that, and I would add the cream and the butter. Well, I began gaining weight because that was the only difference I'd done. So I thought, well, and I started breaking out because I no longer was breaking out here, but all of a sudden over on the other hand. And so, okay, it must be the blueberries. So I quit. I put that away, and I started okay, I'll just do hot water in the morning, like if I want to have a hot toddy, but it'll just be butter and cream and maybe a flavoring. So I got some of these stevia flavorings, like the chocolate and raspberry. Got worse. Oh, I must be reacting to the raspberry. And I'm trying to eliminate everything because I'm thinking I don't have a problem with cream and butter. Even though dairy is very allergenic. But I didn't have a problem with dairy. Finally, this was just getting worse and worse, and it would crack. It's still tender, and to the point where it's hard to type. And I've got like less than 9 minutes left. Okay, so I started doing more research again. Foods that cause eczema. Food that's what I was researching on YouTube. Oh, the 10 foods that cause eczema or don't eat when you have eczema. Dairy, number one, dairy. And I'm going, okay. So I stopped. I stopped doing my drinks with the cream and the butter. I stopped. And here's what it did. That was about a week ago. And in a week, I've lost 8 pounds. It's going to take a while for this to heal up, but it's starting to. So no butter. So dairy's out, eggs are out, most fruits and vegetables are out. Period. Um, the you know what was all this? The acne. Come to find out, that was peanut butter. I love peanut butter. And all this process, I learned about oxalates and lectins. And lectins are legumes, some and which peanuts are not actually a nut; they're actually a legume, a pea bean, and so that will you see that little red right there? That's I had something with peanut or nuts or something, and that's what it does. And this was rosacea triggered by peanuts. Spinach is the worst. Um, but that's pretty well cleared up. Now getting but all this stuff, the oxalates cause inflammation. So why wasn't my LDN low dose naltrexone working? Because I was taking that, but I was also taking the things that caused inflammation. So it's a puzzle. If you're having issues, look at your diet first. I think there was some philosopher, Aristotle, whoever back in the day, who said health begins in the gut, and it really does. It's what are you eating? Look at what you're eating, and not just the fruits and vegetables. What are you eating? A lot of processed foods. I eat very little processed foods, and it's getting less and less. Um, because of all the chemicals and cut out the dyes. I look at labels. Does it have red dye, blue dyes, any of the dyes, natural flavorings? Natural flavorings, they hide a lot of poisons in natural flavorings. If it When you go shopping, if you shop around the perimeter of the store, which is where you're going to find your um, vegetables, your meats, usually your fresh baked food, bakery stuff, the deli stuff, your dairy, usually in the perimeters. And usually it's not processed so much. Go down the center store, and that's where you find your boxes and bottles and cans of stuff that have bioengineered. Look on the label. Everything's got bioengineered, or it has soy. Soy is real bad. Um, oh, speaking of dairy, I was also at the same time drinking Premier Protein drinks. Well, it's made out of whey. I thought that was better for me because I like a shake in the morning. I was looking over here. See, what I'll do is I would do this mostly with water and then put the Premier Protein powder in and blend it up. Before that, I was doing Atkins. The mocha latte, and I would put half of a carton, little, one serving, half of that in here, fill it up with water, put some chocolate collagen or some coffee powder in it, and blend that up with some sweetener, stevia. And I would drink that, during the morning. But the Atkins has soy lecithin. So I was trying to get away from the soy. So I went strictly to the Premier Protein. Well, it has whey. Whey's dairy. So I also cut that out last week and I went back to the Atkins. So is it the Atkins? But I really think it's the dairy. So we'll see what happens. Um, I'll keep you informed, but if you're struggling, if you have Hashimoto's, you're struggling with weight gain, you're having skin issues, whether it's eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, whatever, look at what you're eating. Chances are you're going to find it's in what you're eating. Do some research on oxalates. There's Sally K. Norton on YouTube. I'll put a link below. Oxalates almost killed her. Especially if you're tending to eat vegan or vegetarian, so you eat a lot of plant foods, and yet you're having skin issues, it may be your diet. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your diet. Um, and don't just assume that because you've been able to eat it before, you ate it all your life. Your body changes. It's like, I never had an issue with tomatoes or strawberries or any of those things. Never. But all of a sudden, it happened. So, stay healthy, watch your food, research, uh, watch what goes in your mouth and what comes out. Y'all have a good day. Bye bye.